And what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the WeSportin podcast. And today I'm here with Dylan. Probably wondering where Chris is. It's kind of the question we're wondering too. We don't know where Chris is right now. He hopefully will join with us soon. And yeah, we have a loads to talk about. Keaton, what's up, man? We got El Capitan. He's in here too. We got Dylan here also. Dylan, how's it going, man?
What's up? What's up? How are you?
So today we are going to be. There's been a lot of this. We sat here last week and we were worried after the show ended, and we sat here. We were all talking after. And we were like, man, I really hope some things happen because we were like desperately trying to figure out what we were going to do this week, and fortunately enough, the Titans helped us out. The NFL rule change helped us out. Dion, all of those. It's going to be a lot of things we're going to be covering today. So, I mean, first and foremost, we are going to be starting out with the Deion Sanders and Travis Hunter and Shedeur. Is it Shedeur Sanders? I don't really know. Mm-hmm. Shedeur Sanders. Deion stating that he says that Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter will not be going to certain teams in the NFL draft. Kind of saying that he wants to kind of pull an Eli Manning and, he wants to make sure he picks and chooses where he wants his guys to go. Dylan, I mean, what kind of control do you think Deion, overall, ultimately just wants out of these guys? I mean, obviously he wants to control where they go, but that's just so weird.
Yeah, I mean, he has zero control. And not anything against Deion. Deion's, I think, actually a pretty decent football coach. Mm-hmm. I think one thing that's clear now, though, is Deion, and this has been a thing for a while, Deion wants to be the spotlight whenever someone else is doing something. Like, it's just kind of how it is with him. Was a very, very, obviously we know he's a great player, again, all-timer, right? Probably the best corner, or one of the best corners of all time, depending who you ask. He's been a good coach so far from what we've seen. He at least improved Colorado. I think he doubled their win total, went from 2 to 4. 4 wins isn't a lot, but doubling a win total is doubling a win total. But Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders are two really good players who are probably first-round picks whenever they get drafted. And I just really wish he wouldn't be kind of trying to overshadow that. Obviously we'll see what happens. He has, I guess, a little bit more control in Shedeur because it's his son. Mm-hmm. But with Travis Hunter, he has no control. And Travis Hunter is a really good player too. Obviously, I don't know when he's coming out. He's not coming out next year. He did come out the year after, I think, right?
No, it's next year.
Oh, he's coming out next year. So
yeah. Going into it, though, Deion says he kind of wants us to make this, he didn't ever publicly say it, but it's looking like he wants to make it this Eli Manning scenario. Why do you think that can hurt Sanders and Hunter's draft stock going into the draft? Tremendously.
I don't know about hurting the draft stock because I don't think any GM's going to care. Mm-hmm. Fortunately is part right. Eli Manning had a pretty big chokehold on whoever he got drafted to because he just said I wasn't going to play. Mm-hmm. You're not going to see that now. Like you're just like I would give it a very, very slim chance that Shedeur gets drafted and says I'm just not going to play for you guys. Mm-hmm. Because honestly, if that's what he's going to do, a lot of teams aren't going to like him. Mm-hmm. Like you're kind of seeing this a little bit with Caleb. Is like you saw Jalen Johnson come out and say drop that Hollywood stuff before you get to the door, stuff like that. Nobody wants their franchise quarterback to be a guy that's getting told he can't go here, he can't go here. I don't know who, unless it's Carolina, I don't know who's going to be bad enough next year to warrant, I will never play for them. Carolina's the only team I can think of. We'll see what happens, but other than dumpster fire like Carolina, I don't see anybody being bad enough to where Shedeur's because I don't think Shedeur's the first quarterback off the board next year anyway. So if you're the quarterback 3 or 4, man, you have no pull. What are you going to do? You have zero pull. It's not like you're Caleb Williams, who if Caleb Williams said, I'm not playing for Chicago, he's probably not going to Chicago. No Panthers slander will be tolerated. I'm just saying they're the only team I can think of that could be the worst team in the NFL next year.
Yeah.
To a point that maybe you could warrant, hey, I'm not going to play for them. That's the only team I could even think of.
Yeah, and going into it too, it's just when you're thinking about, obviously Shedeur Sanders and, Travis Hunter being the two main key guys that are on that Colorado team.
Yeah.
It's gonna be very significant. Do you see that Deion could maybe get a job on one of these teams that they both get drafted to, or not both get drafted, but that one of them get drafted to? If he could, I hate saying talk his way into it, but if he has a good enough season in Colorado, they're moving into the Big Ten this year. Do you think that there's a little impact if he could he possibly would pick up and jump ship again and go to Colorado?
So he said he doesn't want to do NFL coaching. We don't really know. We don't because people will say that all the time. And again, Deion wants to be He wants to be the spotlight man, and I think that's part of that.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens. I think a big part for Dion would be taming down his ego, because there would be absolute no chance in hell he's going to get a head coaching job in the NFL right now or after next year. Even if Colorado wins like 11 games, he's not getting a head coaching job in the NFL next year.
Yeah.
3 years of coaching. So would he be able to tame down his ego to go be a defensive coordinator or a DB coach? I would be surprised.
Yeah, it's the ego's just his ego's way too high, and it's just I don't know, but I mean that Colorado team is going to most definitely be taking a hit once they both leave, because I don't think they're getting any recruits in that are majorly.
I mean, Dion is a good recruiter, though. I'll give him that. So I mean, as long as he's the head coach of most college teams, they'll get people in the door just because he's a good recruiter.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's still a limit to that, right? Like, you're still Colorado. Like, you're still not a very good program, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's not that great of a program. But moving forward, I mean, overall the situation is, it's just gonna have to unfold. Only reason why we're not gonna talk about it as much is because it's 2024 and we have other stuff happening and upcoming now. We're gonna be talking about the Commanders quarterback situation, or do you think we should wait until Chris gets here?
I don't know if Chris is gonna get here, so we can go ahead.
Yeah, we'll just get on to the Commanders. So earlier this week, there was an NFL report that came out saying that most executives that have spoken to Adam Peters have said that the popular name going around is J.J. McCarthy. It's now been a toss up between McCarthy and it's been a toss up between Daniels. I think the May hype is lowered a little bit. Dylan, I mean, at 2, you're sitting. Why don't make me laugh? At 2, you're sitting there and you're like, it's down to Daniels or McCarthy. But do you think the McCarthy thing is just a smoke screen thing that he's just kind of telling people, or do you think it's a legitimate JJ McCarthy is going to be a Commander?
So first off, JJ McCarthy is not going to be a Commander. I think people would lose their job if JJ McCarthy was a Commander at 2. Now at 2, if for some reason somebody offers, like if Minnesota offers like a king's ransom for 2 and you guys trade back to 11 and get McCarthy, then I'm not so mad about that.
Yeah.
But I remember about a month ago, we were in a group chat talking about quarterbacks, and we were talking about how I was actually pretty much defending JJ, saying, I think JJ is actually pretty good, because that was when JJ was considered like a second-round pick quarterback. And I was like, actually, I think he's actually probably a first-round guy. What in the world happened, man? Like, I think, like, I remember talking about it then, was like, I think JJ is like a top, I could see him be like a 20th, around, like in the 20s, like a team that needs a quarterback, like maybe Vegas is there and takes him a bit early. Like, that was like my spots.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a point of you have to. This is like the best and worst part of football is the draft season, because it's really fun to watch these players, but the amount of smokescreen that comes in from these GMs, because their job is to make sure other teams don't know what they're doing. So Adam Peters' job right now is to make sure that no one knows who they're taking other than people in that building, and they probably don't know who they're taking yet. To be honest, they probably don't know. Now it's not between JJ and Daniels; it's between Daniels and May. I don't think any competent GM would think McCarthy is a top. I don't even have him as quarterback 4, man. Like, I have him as QB 5. So like, and you could argue quarterback 4 or 5, but I think you have those top 3 guys that are up here that could all really be good quarterbacks, and then you have the guys like Penix, Nix, and McCarthy, who are like, they could be good, but like it's just not super likely, right? Like they're kind of that maybe a good starter for a few years.
Yeah.
So I think a way to look at it too is what quarterback? I'm going to ask you this: if you were taking a quarterback at 2, what quarterback's going to get a guy fired? And I think the guy that's going to get somebody fired at number 2 is JJ McCarthy.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at it, I mean, it's. JJ McCarthy, there's no argument that the kid does not have any talent, does not have talent. The kid, he's very talented. JJ McCarthy, super talented guy. He was in a very run heavy offense. We didn't really get to see a lot of McCarthy's phenomenal throws that we're seeing here in the combine, or we're seeing at the Michigan Pro Day. I want to ask you this though, Dylan, if you're sitting there and you're at 3, or not 3, if you're at 4, yeah, we'll go 4. We'll go 3 or 4. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a phone call that gets rang, over by, I don't know, Minnesota, and McCarthy gets taken third, fourth overall over Drake May. Is that just an automatic lose for Minnesota if they do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's similar to what we saw with Zach Wilson a few years ago. Now, I mean, JJ McCarthy's a different quarterback than Zach Wilson, so I don't want to compare them like play prospect. Like they're not the same at all. But you saw out of nowhere a meteoric rise out of Zach Wilson. Like Zach Wilson at the beginning of that process was like, maybe he's like a bottom first round pick, early second round guy. He's small. Like there's a lot of inconsistency on his film. And then you saw pro day, then you saw media, then you saw all this come out, and everyone thought this is smoke screens. He's not going to be a top pick, and he was. Like, I mean, some of these smoke screens were legit, and I think I genuinely think if a team like Washington or a team like whoever, New England or a team at 4, I saw. Oh my God, I saw a mock draft yesterday from a guy on ESPN saying that the Cardinals should draft JJ at 4 and trade Kyler Murray to the Vikings for 11.
I saw that yesterday.
If you trade Kyler Murray for JJ McCarthy, like I think JJ McCarthy, if somebody takes JJ McCarthy top, I think 10, your ass can get fired if another quarterback's there. Mm-hmm. Now, if your team like Denver and I think they're at 12. I could be wrong, but they're in that range. Mm-hmm. If your team like Denver at 12 or Vegas around that range as well, and all the top 3 quarterbacks are gone, and you're hearing rumblings that if you're the Vikings and Caleb, Jaden, and May are gone, would you trade up for JJ or wait when Giants may get him the Broncos trade up? So that's an interesting question. Actually, keep that up. So, so if you're the Vikings, Caleb, Jaden, and May are gone, would you trade up for JJ or wait when the Giants might get him or Broncos trade up? So I don't think I would do either. I don't know if I would take quarterback. Reason I say that, not because JJ's couldn't be good. I think there's something to add about running it with Darnold this year. Not because Darnold's a good quarterback, just because I think you're at a spot with 11 where this draft's really top heavy, but the back end's kind of bad. The back end of this draft is considerably weak, considered like all draft analysts, but the first 3 rounds is really deep. It's a really good early draft class. I think what makes sense is to stay at 11. If JJ is there, then sure. In the second round, maybe if you guys have, I think he has a second round pick. If you guys maybe at a second round pick see a quarterback there, maybe somebody falls, similar like what Levis did, maybe. But I think what makes sense is to run it with Darnold, and then if you guys suck next year, which you probably will, then you're a top 3 pick, and then you get like a 1A or 1B quarterback. And next year's quarterback class should be decent. Like I know people are like, "Oh, next year's quarterback class sucks." Like Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, like Shedeur Sanders. And these guys are going to be good players unless they fall off a cliff. So Vikings have pick 11 and 23. So there's no reason you couldn't take a quarterback at 23. Or I don't love JJ Nix. I kind of like Penix, but Penix at 11 would be a reach. If Penix is at 23, then I would do it. But I just don't think I don't think trading up for JJ McCarthy's gonna. I think trading up for JJ McCarthy's gonna lose somebody their job. Is what I think is gonna happen.
I'll say this, and I think I've been not vocal, but I have said it a few times to you. I'm not a complete hater of McCarthy. I'm really not. I don't like, because you know what? It's that McCarthy, the hype is getting around him, but it's like it's the hype that was needed for him to get around because of just where he was originally. I genuinely think because of in a run heavy scheme that he was in, that the potential was not able to be tapped in as much. So
why?
Huh?
You have to understand that has something to do with him as well.
Yeah, sure.
Jim Harbaugh is a very, very good coach. We know this. If Jim Harbaugh, who by the way has been a bit of a meat muncher for JJ McCarthy this offseason, I don't know, you see what I'm talking about. Like he's like, oh, it's the best play we've ever seen out of a college quarterback. No, it's not. Which like it's his quarterback. I get it. If Jim Harbaugh realized he had a franchise all-world quarterback, he was not going to run 12 straight plays and then throw. Like I understand to a limit of Michigan's offense and what they did, but I also truthfully think if you have an all-world quarterback, you can't just say, actually, I don't want him to have the ball when we need him to. I don't want him to have the ball in short yardage. Like there was some plays where like they let JJ McCarthy do some things. And JJ McCarthy, to an extent, was underutilized in Michigan. But I don't think if JJ McCarthy's throwing 40 times a game like Caleb, like Drake, like Jaden is, I don't think he's really putting up those numbers. Because he just, like, again, like, not long ago, we were considering him a late first-round pick, early second-round pick, and you have to trust the film. You have to trust what we watched originally. And when I watched JJ McCarthy, I said, this guy is a decent quarterback who is a late first or second-round pick. His pro day means nothing to me, which pro day shouldn't mean anything anyway. His interview, Jim Harbaugh praising him means nothing to me. Maybe it does to bigger GMs, but like from our levels, it doesn't mean anything to me. So when you look at it from my perspective, I'm saying I have to trust what I watched, and what I watched isn't a top 10 pick. I watched a worse prospect than Will Levis is what I watched.
Do you think he's getting that Will Levis top 10 hype right now? Top 5, top 4 hype?
Well, Will Levis was the opposite. Will Levis started as a top pick and then slid. But like honestly, the national media didn't like Will Levis. Like that isn't like even biased. The national media just really didn't like Will Levis. I think he's.
I think it's reversed now.
What do you mean?
Like the national media is now falling.
JJ McCarthy. Yeah.
Yeah, they're falling in love with them, and that's kind of what I wanted to go back into. Is that JJ McCarthy? It's to me. This is how I'm looking at it, and obviously we're gonna have different opinions. So bear with me. But JJ McCarthy, I feel like was not getting the love he got, and obviously, is there a reason that he was in a run-heavy offense and that he was barely throwing the ball? Sure, there's probably a reason behind that. Mm-hmm. Was there a reason that Harbaugh maybe didn't trust him that much or whatnot? I don't know. Like there could be a reason for everything. There just could be a reason that Blake Corum was just so dominant that he felt that JJ didn't have to do anything. We really don't know.
Sure.
But end of the day, man, it's that JJ McCarthy's kind of getting that respect that he should have been getting at the beginning, and now it's starting to kind of get up there, and a lot of people are starting to see it. And I'm not sitting here saying that the pro day and the combine don't mean anything because the significance of it is just so low that it doesn't really matter. But going into it though is that JJ was finally getting, a lot of people were finally seeing McCarthy be able to throw the ball. You know what I mean? It's like they were finally able to see his mechanics, able to see these short passes, these medium passes, these long passes is, not against anything with pressure, but footwork at least. And they're starting to finally see all of that. And they're like, well, man, it's like JJ McCarthy is like, he's I'm not going to say not that bad, but JJ McCarthy has something to him than just handing off the ball. So, I mean, I could see why the hype of JJ McCarthy is going from a late first to a early second, late first to now being mocked to top 10, top 5. I see it now, and it's not like anything, the hype or anything, but it's just that you're finally just starting to see what McCarthy is capable of doing. Now, granted, should he be a top 10 pick? Fuck no. He should be, maybe. Should he be a top 5 pick? Fuck no. There's no way that the first 3 names that are not called off that board are Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Those are the 3 names that should get called off first before you even go into that route of McCarthy.
So here's my question. So you're saying that you said that JJ McCarthy, we're seeing what JJ McCarthy can do.
Yeah.
What have we seen? Because since his draft stock has risen, we haven't seen him play a snap of football.
I'm not sitting here saying that we haven't seen it. I'm seeing that we're being able to see his like arm talent and all that. That's like
in a pro day?
Get it, huh?
In a pro day?
I mean, fuck, we didn't see that.
I'm just saying, like, we're moving him up draft stocks because of combine interviews and pro days. Like, that's why his draft stocks. Like, let's be for real. Nothing else has happened. We didn't see So, for example, last year, CJ Stroud was kind of a question mark. Mm-hmm. His game against Georgia made him a top 2 pick. That is why he was a top 2 pick last year. Now, I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't have been regardless, but that was the main focus why he was. That's why he was my quarterback 1 last year, because of what he did against Georgia. Because his big question marks was what he answered against Georgia. JJ McCarthy is moving up draft stocks, and he's done nothing. He had an okay pro day, but like, it's a pro day. He had an okay combine, but he missed those at the combine. Maybe he had good combine. Like, what has he done to be like, oh, you know what? He deserves to move up. I don't think he does. Like, I think we're just getting bored and we're looking at other players, and then the national media is hyping him up because the national media has connections to a lot of Michigan guys. Like, they're probably just saying, hey, like, give my guy some love. Like,
see, like, and I can agree. I can see what you're coming from with that, man. But it's just that for me personally, when we're talking about JJ McCarthy and we're talking about that, man, it's just that I just, you know what, man, I think we're just gonna have to sit here and have these two separate opinions on it because I personally, I personally just see the I see where the hype's coming from. I understand where, like, I can see where the source of it is. And it's just that people didn't really get a taste of what he was doing in Michigan. There might be because of Harbaugh, might be because just the media loves Michigan. Who knows? But I mean, my thing is that if people are gonna hate on McCarthy, it's only because they say strong, they see strong arm and they think Zach Wilson, and that's all it is. It's just strong arm, not even to get anywhere else, but just a strong arm kid, and he could throw deep, and that's about it. So that's my opinion on the whole McCarthy thing. To Washington, I'd kill myself. I'd jump off a cliff. And you know, if we pick the other fucking dickhead, what's his name again? Drake May. Yeah, if we could take Drake May, same reaction. I'm gonna get mad because Jaden Daniels is the quarterback of the future for the Commanders. So, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. All right, now moving on. Next topic. Dak Prescott. And according to Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott and him have not gotten into many contract negotiation talks going into next year. Why? What's wrong?
I'm listening. Go ahead.
Am I saying something wrong?
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Oh, Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott have yet to be able to get into any contract negotiations moving on. So meaning Dak Prescott will not officially, because there's still a lot of time left before the season starts. But as of right now, Dak Prescott will be playing on a contract year and not be given a contract. Dylan W. James Walker, how are we feeling about Dak Prescott not getting a contract?
Let him leave, man. Let him leave. So rumor has it, Dak Prescott's team is starting the contracts out at $60 million a year. Here's what you have to look at it for Dallas. Do you want to and I'm about to kind of show my opinions on Dak a little bit. Dak Prescott is, I think, easily kind of one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. And that's like genuine. But like people still put him top 8. Like I saw a guy yesterday put him top 5 still. What are we doing? That was an ESPN analyst had him top 5. Like
it was his last day at work.
Yeah, like dude, come on. Like I don't see the Dak hype and why we're still behind him so much. Like he puts up decent numbers in a really pass heavy offense. Let him leave. Like I'm sorry, like $60 million, and you're not winning with him. Like, when was the last great Dak playoff game? I'll wait.
2000. Wasn't it the Seattle one? Yeah,
Seattle. Yeah, there you go.
Seattle. That was
Kirk Cousins and Dak are the same. I hate them both. Well, no, you guys should have re-signed Kirk Cousins. You guys are stupid. Like, there's a difference there. Because Kirk Cousins, I think, got 52. Dak would be getting $8 million a year more. I think I wouldn't pay him that much, especially when you have to build a team still. Like, you can't build a team with a $60 million quarterback. And the issue is, too, is like, Dak isn't
They're going all in, too. Don't forget that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All in. They've signed like a long snapper.
They lost their left tackle, center, edge rusher, corner. Yeah,
everybody. They're going all in, though. This draft's going to be crazy. Stupid, bro. They're kind of a dumpster fire right now. I feel like it's just a bad organization, man. Like I know they're America's team, like they're Dallas, like they're always going to be in the spotlight, man. But like, what a trash can right now, dude. Like, but yeah, I wouldn't pay him that much. You can't build a team. You just can't. Like, especially when Dak isn't transcendent enough to make everyone around him significantly better. But like Mahomes, even though it's a lot of money, like it's Mahomes, and he makes everyone around him better. Like, he has revived multiple people's careers.
He made Kadarius Toney look good.
No, Kadarius Toney never looked good. But he made, like, Juju Smith-Schuster kind of come back after having a rough few stints. So, I just don't think Dak's good enough to do that. And if your quarterback can't elevate the team around him, I know it would suck to go back into a point of, oh, we're kind of in a quarterback carousel, but, like, you need one of those top guys to win right now, and Dak is not one of those guys. So I would let him leave.
Yeah. So my point on Dak is that my thing is this: is that if Dak Prescott was at least have an NFC championship appearance under his belt. The fact that I even have to say this for Dak Prescott, who's been in the league since 2016, is pretty sad. But if Dak Prescott just had a NFC title game under his belt, just to say that he went there, it would mean I say do it, because maybe it's just the teams are being bad, but he's capable of getting them there, but it's just the team around him is not that great. Dak Prescott haven't seen anything further than a divisional round, and in the almost 8 years and he's been in the NFL, going on to 9 seasons now in the NFL, it's bad, and then you know what, you could sit here and say that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, they own everybody in the league, they're regular season champs, dude. Regular season champs. They will look at and they will destroy any team in the regular season. When it comes playoff time, man, it's just Dak, and it's not even on. I mean, a little bit is on Dak, but a little bit is also on that rest of the team too. I mean, the team just disappears and crumbles. I'll never understand how a team goes from dominance through 17 games, not even dominance. I would just say they are great through 17 games, and then the playoffs, they just don't do a thing. It's so pitiful, and it's like a half of it is on Prescott because he's that leader of the team.
But I mean, you pay a guy that much money, he should be having good playoff games. Like I don't care that he's having clean playoff games. Kind of a similar situation like almost Rodgers was having for a few years in Green Bay.
Aaron Rodgers
still had
it. Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I mean, he didn't play last year. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying
he's had that problem for a decade.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the issue you have is like, hey, you're getting paid a lot of money, you play really good in the regular season, but and to be fair, Dak Prescott is not near as good as Aaron Rodgers is. Like I'm just being like ever was. Like Rodgers is significantly better, and at least Rodgers, we've seen him have good playoff games. Like Dak, man, maybe he has one good playoff game years ago. Like that's it. Like you don't pay a guy that much money to have a good playoff game in like 6 years. Like it's just like go pay Ryan Tannehill 12 mil.
He's like a better looking Kirk Cousins. Like I'd say that Dak is obviously
played better last year than him, and it's going to warrant $8 million less.
Kirk and Dak have the same playoff resume.
Well, and Kirk towards the Achilles too. But.
Well, yeah, I'm just going off of a longevity standpoint. But now moving on from Dak pre-scoop, we're going to be talking about the NFL rule changes next. NFL rule changes this week were happening. Kickoff change to the XFL kickoff rule. I don't even know what the hell it is. I saw it. Don't really care about it either.
I'm glad about that. That's a good rule change.
Is it?
Yeah, people were mad about it, but there's a genuine thing to look about it. Is the kickoff was a dead play. Like nobody cared. Like it was like kickoffs are when you went and got a drink from the fridge. Like maybe you got a fumble, but like most times it's fair catch. Like this is making kickoffs like you're gonna have to put good players in your kickoff returners now. Like if your team just to point out, if your team like Tennessee, like Treylon Burks maybe returning kickoffs this year because it's a genuine play now. Like these are plays that are gonna change stuff. So you're gonna see guys get drafted in like the 3rd round. Not this year, but I won't be shocked in a few years. You see guys get drafted like a 3rd round, like a Malachi Corley, by the way, who's a wide receiver this year out of Western Kentucky. He's a small, pure yak guy. I wouldn't be shocked if someone takes him like 4th round and says, "Listen, you're a wide receiver 4. You are on every single kickoff return." Because it's a genuine play. It matters now. Like the kickoffs were just dead, so I'm happy with that rule change.
Yeah. Next, trade deadline being moved to Tuesday after week 9. I don't
care.
I don't even know when it was originally.
I think it was like a week earlier.
Yeah, who cares? Now the one that I fucking hate, hip tackling rule change. The next question I have underneath this Word doc is: has the league become soft? And to answer your question, yes, dude. How the fuck are you supposed to tackle him then? Like I don't genuinely. First, I think from when I really got back into football, or just not even back into football, but like as I started watching football, first it was the roughing the passer was the big controversy, and then now it's this shit, the hip tackling. Are we serious? Like hip tackling, okay?
Hip drop tackling, by the way.
Yeah, hip drop tackling. So thank you. How the fuck do you want someone to tackle someone, dude?
So you can still tackle somebody without hip drop tackling.
No, you're right. But let's not act like the percentage of players that go and tackle people is at least not by the hip.
So again, I think there's okay. So we got to make sure we define what a hip. And I think the rule's saying stupid, but just to confirm, we need to define what a hip drop tackle is. A hip drop tackle is when you have them by the hips or the lower torso and you drop with your full weight down to drag them down. The reason it got banned, and not that I agree with it, but
I'll turn my camera off real quick, but proceed.
The reason this got banned for the most part is because when people were dropping their weight, there was a increased chance of their leg getting stuck or that person falling on their leg. This year, or one more, is there is sometimes chances if you land weird, you could mess up the person's hip because where you're grabbing with all your weight dropping down on them. So that's something to add there as well. Yeah, that was weird. That's something to add there as well. Now, do I agree with the change? No. This was a year that was pretty high in hip drop tackle injuries. Like it was. I think there's a few really big injuries from hip drop tackles.
Mark Andrews got one.
Yeah, there's a few others. So like, not that I agree with it. It is to an extent like it's a bit frustrating because I'm actually a pretty big fan of defense, and you're kind of making it towards an offensive-oriented game.
Yeah.
But that's been a thing, guys. Like them doing what they do with roughing the passer and DPI versus like holdings, like all this. Like it's been an offensive-minded game. I don't think this is going to make – I would be shocked at how heavily they enforce this. I think they'll call it every once in a while, but, like, this isn't going to change the game. It's not going to do anything crazy. Like, the game's already offensive-oriented. Like, it's just going to change how you tackle. Maybe you'll see a few more broken tackles because you can't drop your weight to get them down. But, like,
yeah,
you're not going to see that big of a difference.
Yeah. Well, it's – I don't know. I don't want to spend too much on it. But it's just – it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
And we're talking about Clowney?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Jadeveon Clowney, guys, he got signed to the Panthers. If you were living under a rock, 2 years, up to $24 million, but $20 million of it he'll get. Jadeveon Clowney,
what go. A bad move, man.
Yeah, it's just. I mean, I guess when you need an edge rusher,
when you need an edge rusher, and you just traded away a prime edge rusher to the Giants. And now you get a guy that's never produced by himself on the edge.
Brian Burns is going to be scoring offensive and defensive.
Dude, like Jadeveon Clowney has only been good when he's been playing next to a Hall of Fame edge or a Hall of Fame defensive lineman. So, like, why is he your number one edge rusher?
What was the excuse in Tennessee then?
He sucked in Tennessee.
Oh, okay. Where was the Hall of Fame edge rusher in Tennessee?
He sucked. Like, there was none. Like, I said he only produces when he's next to one. And the only time he ever really produced at a decent level was next to J.J. Watt. He had a decent year last year in Baltimore, but it was mostly scheme-oriented. And he was probably like the third best defensive lineman on that team. But, like, my fault, bro. I overstepped that for school. You good.
You're good. You have the link so you can hop in on this next segment that we're going to be talking about. Dylan's going to be getting super geeked up and smiley and laughy and giggly like he's talking to a girl. Yeah. L'Jarius Sneed last week was traded to the none other than Tennessee Titans. And if Dylan knows, I got to tag Dylan. I called Dylan, gave him a fuck you, and I hung up. I love L'Jarius Sneed.
We were talking about this for a while.
Yeah. No, we don't. L'Jarius Sneed, first off, the trade was to Kansas City for a 2025 third round pick and a 2024 7th round pick swap. And in return, the Tennessee Titans got L'Jarius Sneed. Also with L'Jarius Sneed, the Titans signed him to a deal of 4 years, $76.4 million, a 55 of a guarantee, along with a $20 million signing bonus. I'm going to let the geeky Tennessee fan just talk, and I'm going to sit back and wait till Chris gets here.
No, go ahead. Go give your opinion on it.
I fucking hate you. You don't deserve it. You ungrateful shit. You're not going to do anything with it. That's the problem. That's what makes me mad is that, like, Tennessee, they're getting all these really good guys, right? All these really good guys. And it's like they forgot C.J. Stroud still exists, and that's what I really love about it, man. But overall, man, L'Jarius Sneed, great move for Tennessee. Really finally gets that corner that they've kind of needed for these last couple of years. They've been rotating between Christian Fulton and thinking he was good and doing Sean Murphy Bunting experiment. And then they did God, don't even tell me his name because I know exactly what his name is. I can't think of it right now, but I know what his name is.
Malcolm Butler, Logan Ryan.
Malcolm Butler experience, Logan Ryan. Oh my God, there was another DB that was there too that I just fucking hated. What was his name? He always got Who got cooked by De'Ami Brown on those 2 touchdowns?
Caleb Farley.
Caleb Farley.
He's on the team, but Caleb Farley's been through a lot, so I don't even hate him.
Dylan praised that man like he was Deion.
No, I was really a big fan of Caleb, but yeah, that stuff happened.
So I mean, overall, A+ move for Tennessee, no doubt. A+ move. Kansas City, I'd give it like a C. They got like a 3rd and some 7th round pick, but it kind of gives a suspicion of what they're gonna do at corner. So yeah,
So let's talk about L'Jarius Sneed, which, by the way, reports did come out. The Commanders never called Kansas City regarding L'Jarius Sneed, which to me is insane, by the way. So now, with all the reports come out, L'Jarius Sneed, Tennessee was the first team to call about him. They were in on him for a while. Apparently, a deal almost got made about a week before it did happen. I think it was actually the day before the trade, a day before free agency actually opened. Titans almost had a deal done, but something slipped up with the contract. I don't think there's a way not to say this is an A+ for Tennessee. They got him for a bag of chips. You got him for a next year 3rd, which Titans suck. We swept their bum asses last year, and we will do it again. That's crazy.
Yeah, the boy. Yeah.
I think he's a Colts fan. Because I think they're the only people that swept us last year. Or maybe, no. I guess he could be Houston. I think we got swept by Houston.
Yeah, we swept
if you're a Colts fan, I really feel bad for you, man, because you guys were supposed to get L'Jarius Sneed. If you're a Texans fan, then, I mean, okay. Anyway. But yeah, man. We got L'Jarius Sneed for a 3rd round pick next year, which you usually downgrade that by a pick. So it's basically a 4th round pick. And then a 7th round pick. So it moved back about, I think it was 18 spots in the 7th. And you got him for a reasonable contract. Like, I thought we'd reset the market with it, and you got him for, I think, the 6th highest paid corner in the NFL. In about a year's time, I'll probably be back at top borderline 10. Juju Brents. Okay, you're a Colts fan. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
His name is not Juju. It's Julian, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not a Colts fan.
Julian Brents, yeah, the TCU corner.
But I'm really sorry, man. Hey, you guys are supposed to get L'Jarius Sneed. That really sucks. But yeah, you guys suck, so it's okay. Anyway, long story short, Titans got L'Jarius Sneed for pretty much nothing. Why Commanders weren't in on that? You guys wouldn't give up a 2025 3rd for L'Jarius Sneed?
You have no idea how much I love L'Jarius Sneed too.
Dude, I've heard he's a great guy. I was watching these Chiefs podcasts. Apparently, he's like a really good guy. Obviously he's a good corner, but
like Dylan will tell you, like, and this is a legitimate thing. But Dylan will tell you, I think I've loved L'Jarius Sneed since he's gotten to the fucking league. And I've been a big fan of his, bro. And it's just like once I heard that this was happening, and I was, oh my god! And when I saw that the Titans were getting it, dude, and I was like, yep, dude, fucking, it's over. The dream's over.
And now you have a Tennessee secondary of L'Jarius Sneed, Roger McCreary, and Chidobe Awuzie, which is probably the best corner trio I think we've ever had. Like, honestly, it's a really good corner trio. Actually, funny enough, there's only 4 guys in the NFL last year that played over 500 cover snaps and didn't allow a single touchdown. And 2 of those are Titans right now, which is Roger McCreary and L'Jarius Sneed. So the corner trio is really good. Obviously, there's more stuff for us to have to do. But corner-wise, I think Titans are set for a few years. He's 27. You have some injury issues possibly, but like 27 in his prime. Got him for a bag of chips. Chiefs needed cap space, but man, I was losing my mind for about 3 hours after that trade happened. And then the contract got leaked. So very, very, very happy from my end.
He's not even one of the highest paid corners that he wanted either. He's not even the highest paid corner. He's like 5th.
He's 4th. Like 6th. Hey man, maybe you guys can go get Stephon Gilmore.
That will complete my dream. I'm not even gonna
Which, by the way, who's significantly worse than L'Jarius Sneed.
That'll complete my life.
Hey, how old is Stephon Gilmore?
33.
So you guys didn't trade for the 27-year-old prime corner?
No, we want old. Anyways, okay. But that'd complete my dream. Anyways, Trey White, kind of an underrated signing for the Rams. Trey White to LA on a 1-year up to $10 million $10 million contract. I feel bad for Trey White, man. He was so good. So good. And
I do feel bad for him. Yeah.
Injuries got to him, man, and just it ruined him, man. But I really do hope this LA regime and it could bounce him back because Trey White's one of those players that like he's really done nothing wrong in his career to deserve what he's going through right now. He's super good, super talented too, and I say it's a B pickup for the Rams, honestly.
I mean, it's fine. Like, I mean, he's probably not going to be ever really good in his career again. That's not a shot against Trey White, but the downward spiral of his career, man, is really sad because he was in his prime a few years ago, and he still should be in his prime now. He was an all-pro corner. He was arguably a top 3 corner in the NFL. It was him, Jalen Ramsey, and Tre'Davious White at one point were by far the top 3 guys in the NFL. And then I said Jair, yeah. It sucks because he never had a major injury, and then the last 2 years have had 2 huge injuries. He tore his Achilles last year, which is known to make you lose a step athletically. It's probably the worst injury you can have right now in the NFL. ACL, you're seeing now, they come back pretty much fully healthy after about a year and a half. Achilles, man, you're losing a step. And the last thing you want to do as a man-to-man corner is lose a step. And that's, I think, what has happened. We'll see what happens. There didn't seem to be a huge market for him. He went on a few visits. He was actually on a visit for Tennessee a few days after. But then L'Jarius Sneed obviously got signed, so the visit got canceled.
It's just like why? Like why? Like Adam Peters.
So his visits were LA, the Giants, and Tennessee.
Like LA, Pierce cooked all off season, bro. All off season.
I don't think he cooked all off season, but that's fine.
Are you fucking kidding me?
He signed like 50-year-old guys.
We got Bobby Wagner, dude.
Let's go, guys. Hold on. Let's just get Stephon Gilmore to make the retirement home in Washington real quick. We got Bobby Wagner, Stephon Gilmore, Austin Eckler. Hey, man, 5 years ago, this team would have been fucking crazy. Like,
dude, I know this VHS tape's going to hit different. But moving on to the final topic of today, NBA. The NBA is finally going to be wrapping up its season pretty soon. It's going to be wrapping it up, and we're going to be heading into the NBA playoffs. Fortunately for the crew of guys we have on here, only one of our teams will experience the playoffs because, unfortunately, Dylan's team got eliminated a little bit ago, and I don't think Chris's team's going to make it, even in the play-in.
No, Golden State? No.
They might be cooked. Houston Rockets are on a 9-1 in the last 10. The Houston has been electric. But a team to talk about though, Dylan, is the Phoenix Suns. So Phoenix currently sitting at, let me go look, at 8th in the West. And 8th in the West. Let me give you their final game schedule, and you tell me how it's going to go for them, okay? Final games. Denver, Oklahoma City, New Orleans, Cleveland, Minnesota, Pelicans again, Clippers, Kings, Minnesota.
At least they have a free one with OKC.
Oh fuck, dude! Shut up, man. Like
that's a rough final stretch, man.
Yeah. So
other than OKC, I mean that's easy, but I mean it's a rough final stretch.
Can you hop off Dick for 2 seconds, dude? So going into that, yesterday, after looking at the schedule for the Phoenix Suns, I looked at the probability of the
You're not making it, buddy. You're not making it.
Try to get it in, but my ring stand holder is literally just broke. Then I'm waiting on my PC startup. You saying last time. Yeah, Chris, don't even worry about it, dude. Don't even worry about it. You're fine. Just watch. There you go. Watch. So Dylan, I looked at the probability for the wonderful and beautiful Phoenix Suns. Just see like where they could land in this playoff bracket. Right now, if they want to even get 6th in the West, they have a whopping 6% chance with that. So they're playing bound. Like there's no getting out of the plan.
Yeah,
none. Yeah. There's none. They're getting in the plan. To get into the 7th seed, they have a 14% chance. To get the 8th seed, they have a 31% chance. And to get the 10th seed, they have a 40% chance of making it. They almost have a higher probability almost to make it out of to be eliminated than to be the 6th seed. It's sad.
Yeah, that's
Phoenix
tough.
being as dominant as they are with Booker and Durant and Beal, and I can't believe I'm saying it, but he actually has been good this year. Grayson Allen. A lot of these guys, I mean, this team, a lot of people thought we're going to be topping the West along with the Lakers. And does that is that kind of a question mark if they do, even if they fall out? Is it like something that as a Sun GM you got to sit there and be like, damn, like what do I like we just got three of one of the
It
three
it's
scores.
I mean, it's just a poorly run team. Like it's just that's it. Like it's just we've known this for a few years now.
Yeah.
And the NBA, I think, is a bigger representation of this than almost any other sport other than football. Is like you can't just say we're going to slam in three really good players, and then the rest of the roster sucks, and then that's going to be the team. Like I mean, like we saw this with multiple teams recently. We saw, I mean, we talked about Brooklyn a few years ago when they like, okay, we're going to get Kyrie, Harden, and KD, and did nothing. Like teams, I don't know why teams are still doing this where they're saying, okay, we're just going to try to have no team and just a few superstars and just hope they can win us rings. Like, they're just a poorly run team at this point. So now I just don't see anything. I wouldn't even be shocked if they get bounced very, very soon.
Yeah. So now going into the West a little bit more, obviously teams that are topping the West right now, we have Denver sitting at 1, Oklahoma at 2, Minnesota at 3. No really shock there, but I will say give this team a lot of props. The New Orleans Pelicans have been fighting this season, and they have been fighting, and they are now almost guaranteed to get a top 6 seed in the West. New Orleans has been fighting. I mean, Zion Williamson has actually been playing games. Brandon Ingram has been a stud. Herb Jones has been great. And what sucks about New Orleans is that they have really tried, man. They've been doing so good this year. But what sucks is that they're probably going to get bounced in the first round just because it's just the West is too
Ridiculous.
strong. It's way too strong. And that's what really sucks. But you got to give credit where credit is due. And they're having a really, really good season.
And it's a fun team to root for. I mean, they're just a fun. New Orleans is a fun team to watch. They're a fun team to root for. They have talent everywhere, and technically, they built a team how you're supposed to build a team. If Zion Williamson was a more consistent basis, like if Zion Williamson was on the court more, you'd probably see the Pelicans with Brandon Ingram being like a really dominant West team. I mean, I remember 2 years ago we are saying, oh yeah, the Pelicans probably have the brightest future of like the entire NBA. Because Zion, he was rough his rookie year, but I think that was the year after his rookie year. And Brandon Ingram has played really, really well in New Orleans, man. They have talent everywhere. So I'm curious to see, maybe they can make some noise in the playoffs. So maybe it could be similar to like a Sacramento situation where they just go in and make some noise. Maybe they get bounced in the second round, but they could take a team by surprise, man. That's a talented team.
Yeah, they are currently projected right now, if playoffs started today, to face the Los Angeles Clippers. That's what sucks about their situation.
They could be competitive.
They could. That could go to a 6 or 7 for sure. 100%.
I don't think they'd win, but that could be competitive.
Yeah, no, for sure. Going on to the Eastern Conference real quick. We're going to take a break for the West. But no, obviously, number 1, we have Boston, Milwaukee, Cleveland, New York, Orlando, and Pacers. What shocks me is that one of those teams in the top 5 is like a head scratcher of how the hell did they? I guess you could be like, oh, like obviously we know how they got there because they're talented, but Orlando Magic, man, like who would have thought, man, that Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, Cole Anthony, all those guys would be sitting here right now competing for a top 6 spot in the West and not even playing the play-in.
It's a crazy thing, dude. Because there's another thing of like I was just talking about, like it's a point of. They technically built a team how you're supposed to build a team. Like they drafted decently well, and the first round picks they haven't hit on, like Paulo Banchero was clearly a hit, but the first round picks they haven't hit on, they ended up being pretty good role players, and they haven't went out and traded all their future for KD or all their future. Like they haven't just tried to go out and trade for starter. They tried to make them homegrown, and it's kind of a similar situation OKC is in now, where it's like, okay, you have these picks that are turning out to be pretty good. And you're building a competent team because now it's a point of, if you go against a team like the Suns, right, when they're starting rotations out, that's when you're going to capitalize because their roster's just not deep. But you have a team like Orlando, and while their starting 5 may not be the best, when they go to their backups, you're seeing good players. Like you're seeing competent, good basketball coming out.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you build a team the proper way. Is you
Yeah.
can't just trade for 3 stars and say, go get us a championship, because it rarely works. Like, the only time you've seen it was, you could say Miami, but Miami was a deep team. Like, Miami had stars even though they had LeBron, Bosh, and Wade. So,
Yeah.
but a team like now, like where you see the Suns, man, like their roster isn't that deep. Like, they've lost a lot of good role players, which you need to win championships.
Yeah, and I mean, going just through that too. It's like being a team like Orlando, man. It's just I don't know if you remember this, Dylan, but this is an interesting story. I'll tell you real quick. On draft night, this was the Boncaro, Chet Holmgren, and the Jabari Smith. Do you remember who the number 1 overall pick was supposed to be?
Between Barcaro, who and who?
Jabari Smith and Chet Holmgren. Do you remember who the number 1 overall pick was supposed to be?
It was supposed to be Chet, no?
So no, originally before the draft, 30 minutes before the draft started, 30 minutes before the draft started, it was supposed to be Jabari Smith. Jabari
really?
Smith was supposed to be the number 1 consensus pick. I even remember this because it was on FanDuel too. His odds were at minus 1,100 to go number 1 30 minutes before the draft. And then something happened 30 minutes before the draft. Nobody knew what it was or what was happening. But then it switched that Paolo was the number 1 overall pick. So then that legit 30 minutes before the draft started, Paolo Banchero was the number 1 overall pick. And Jabari fell all the way to 3 to Houston. Just a kind of a story.
Which, now it probably made sense because Paolo's been significant. I mean, Paolo and Chet have been significantly better than Jabari. So
yeah, I mean, just to put that into perspective of just in the 30-minute span before the draft started, Paolo Banchero would have been the 3rd overall pick in the draft. That is crazy to think about. But lastly, before we close out today, I know this is something that we just talked about briefly, but we're going to go open back into it because it's more of one of the hotter spots. Houston and Golden State have been battling it out for the 10th seed. Not even battling it out. Oh, yeah, you can even say it's about 1.5 games. Houston and Golden State have been battling it out in the Western Conference for that play-in spot. Do you see Golden State falling out of the play-in conversation?
I do, yeah.
Without a doubt.
I don't know if without a doubt they're still Golden State, but I mean, let's not act like they're Golden State of 2016. Like, they're a decent team now. Golden State desperately needs to hit the reset button, man. Like, they need to so bad. Like, I don't know. If this is what you guys want to do now, is just be like the 7th seed every year, win maybe a playoff series, and then just get back. Like, they're just not a good enough team to win a championship.
Yeah.
And you're holding on. I think they're holding on a bit too hard onto 20, their prime. And so, yeah, I think Golden State is probably going to drop out of it. I think Golden State needs to hit a reset somewhat soon. Maybe not this year, but soon you guys need to hit a reset and just go back. Maybe you guys are going to have a few bad years, but you guys need a reset. Like, it's true. Because let's not act like, I mean, honestly, you guys had a 10-year span of dominance. Not even 10 years. You guys had
from 2015 to 2023. So we'll give it
20. Well, I don't know if say 23 would be dominance.
Well, they want to play. I mean,
when was your last ring?
22.
So, bro, we won the finals the year before last. Fucking mean 7th seed every year. But I mean, the last 2 years, you guys haven't been that good. Let's be honest. So you guys from about 2015, 2014 to 2022 were a dominant basketball team. I really hope that you're not watching right now and saying this team can get back to dominance. There's no way you're watching this and saying that. Nobody was setting with Steph Curry on their team, but I'm just saying the truth. Nobody's watching Golden State right now and say, yeah, this team's going to be dominant back again in a year or so, because your players are just getting older and you guys don't have that much young talent. They just don't. So go ahead.
Oh, I'll say this. So I was actually having a conversation about this with somebody the other day about Golden State. For those who don't know, I am a pure activist hater of the Golden State Warriors, unless I don't have to be. But it's something that it's been in my blood for years.
Sure.
Since 2016. I would not say that they have to reset, because that's not what they really need to do. Now, I would say now, when you say reset, you mean cut Curry, Clay, Draymond? You just get them all out and get them on a new team? Okay, I don't
at least Clay and Draymond.
Yeah, I would say you got to cut Curry. No, not cut Curry. Cut Clay, Draymond, and Wiggins. You got to cut. You got to get all those. You got to get those 3 out of there because they're not doing anything. I get it's the Golden State. Blah, 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 they're not doing shit.
To be fair, to reiterate what I was saying, I imagine Curry retires in Golden State. I don't think you guys are going to cut Curry, but everyone else should be gone.
Yeah. If Golden State wants that one last run, because I still think that they could make at least one last final run. Granted, if they win or lose it, whatever happens. Okay. They got Trey. Yeah, Chris. I was about to get into that. They got Trace Jackson Davis, who's a stud. They got Kuminga. They got Moses Moody, and they got Brandon Podziemski or whatever. If they just go out there and this is my honest opinion. If they go out, they cut all 3 of those guys, right? All 3 of those guys. They go cut Curry, not Curry, Clay, Wiggins, Draymond, whatever. That's like the reset button to them. And they look, and I'm just saying they look because this is not an impossible thing that could happen. But if they go out and get Joel Embiid, or they go out and get like a Karl Anthony Towns, if they go out and not try to retool what they had before, but they could get younger at the position that those guys were doing. If they can go out and find a guy that is kind of like a Draymond, but more of a consistent scorer, and you can go find a guy like Clay who's a kind of a consistent shooter and whatnot, they could easily get back into that status without a doubt. They could. Curry could easily get that last run in before 38, 39 without a doubt.
So you have 3 paths if you're Golden State, right? You have the path to stay on exactly what you're doing now, which is probably going to lend to you guys being considerably staying in the play-in area. I'm sorry, the team they have right now is not going to be a championship team unless they add somebody. We should be able to all agree on that, right? Maybe Chris won't, but like me and you can both agree on it. Who's on the show right now? So we can both agree on that. Other than that, you have the other path of blow everything up, which would be getting rid of everybody and then kind of building back from scratch. Or you have the path of what you're saying is to try to retool and get these last few years of Curry to try to push one more time. And then after that, you guys can go straight down to the bottom of the league, right? Like, it's genuine. I think what makes more sense is to keep Curry, stay a little bit competitive, and not tank, but stay in that bottom echelon and build a better team that can be good for a few years. But you could reasonably do the bit of, hey, we want to get Curry, the rest of Curry's like really good play out of him. Let's go get Joel Embiid. We're not going to have much young talent. If you get Joel Embiid, you're not going to have almost any young talent left.
Yeah.
But go get Joel Embiid and then just try to hope they can pair something to get another ring.
Yeah,
it depends what path you want to do.
Not even Joel Embiid either. It's like
I'm just saying one of the ones.
Yeah, you could go.
Golden State really just needs a big. They've competed in hella games. They just choked. Coaching could be better. Curry, old as fuck. Nobody gonna blow it up. So you guys have been saying you guys need a big for like 5 years. That's just the truth. You guys drafted James Wiseman. Like, you guys have been needing a big for years. It hasn't been solved. And they're choking, and you're saying coaching could be better. That's not going to be something that's going to fix. Like, that's not going to just be fixed over time. And yeah, Curry's old, but he's still playing well. But 2 of the 3 things you just stated have been issues. I guess they used to not choke when they were doing really good. They were a really good playoff team. But, yeah. I mean, you guys have needed a big for years. What are you guys going to do? I mean, again, you guys can go trade for a big and trade your entire young talent. But I hope, if you guys go and trade for Joel or go and trade for a superstar big, you're not going to have that young talent you just listed because they're going to be traded to get that player. So that's why I would be hesitant. I think as an out. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think that Joel Embiid's I think his contract's up soon. That's why. Yeah.
So, but all I'm saying is I think there's a point to be had of, from an outsider's perspective, what makes the most sense is to stay somewhat competitive, like you almost are in now. And I don't think Clay and Draymond are really helping your win totals. So I think if you got rid of them, you could still be around the play-in range. And kind of just have a few years of let's draft a lot of young talent and stay competitive for the next decade instead of let's just trade for a really good player. And then in 2 years when Curry's gone, or not 2 years, but you know what I mean, in a few years, now we're to the bottom of the league and have no picks, no young players. Like, you're setting yourself up to be a bad team in like 3 years if that's what happens. Where I think there is a way to do this of staying somewhat competitive, but in 5 years, because there's still a good team that can make a push with a different set of players.
Yeah, but That's the best part, man. We'll never know what's gonna happen next because that's normally how the NBA and all these teams and that's all they are.
Yeah.
But well, that's gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you guys all for watching. We will be back next week. I'm gonna say what I said last week. I hope more shit happens this week because content's starting to getting drier and drier with nothing happening. I think the best
last week, and then the Titans made the move with the free agency. By the way, Titans are free agency winners. Just want you guys all to know this.
Behind the Commanders. All right. Well, thank you guys all for watching today. We will see you guys all next week. We will all be together next week. I do hope so. And yeah, if you guys just drop any suggestions, drop anything, obviously follow us on the Instagram, subscribe to us on the YouTube, and have a good night.